So yeah, we might as well review the game from a tactical point of view, people. So yeah, people, if I scroll up quickly before I share the other page review, things learned in terms of what I probably learned yesterday. Not that I learned anything, but we saw the same. Possession doesn't mean goals. We had a lot of possession, but we're not clinical. With your eyes, you could see that we're not clinical in front of goal. We weren't doing much with it. We weren't putting the ball in the back of the net. We didn't really work Martinez really and truly. I know Xhaka had the free kick. That's probably the only one off the top of my head where he really was worked. I don't think we had any IQ because, again, we know Martinez as well. We know Martinez, he was at our team, and I think we're putting in a lot of our set pieces were poor anyways, but I think we're putting in a lot of crosses. One of Martinez's strengths is his handling and his coming out, and you're putting it right on top of him. And not only that, there's no one challenging Martinez, so it's not making sense to me. So I don't think there was enough invention in the final third. I don't think there was enough intention to break the team down. Possession is 9/10 of the law. If you have possession, you can do a lot. In possession, in theory, possession is a form of defense, but it's what you do with possession. We had high amounts of possession yet again. It didn't transpire into anything. We barely worked their keeper, like I said, and really, even we had a stronger second half. But when you look at it, I think we had 13 or so shots. We only hit the target 3 times, where I think Aston Villa had 12 shots. They hit the target 8 times. Now we know we presented their goal to them, but you get the point. We need to be more clinical in front of goal. And in recent weeks, the West Broms, the Chelseas, these games there, we were quite clinical in front of goal. Newcastle to a degree, and it's been leaving us. We still struggle to break down low blocks or teams that just defend well as units, as you lot could see, people. Even the Newcastle game, you look at go back to the Newcastle game in the league and look at the second and first halves. They came out more expansive in the second half and the game opened up for us. And I did think the game was opened up against Villa at times and we didn't take advantage. So yeah, we still need to learn how to break down well-drilled units. We couldn't cope with Villa's shape off the ball. We couldn't break them down. I don't think on the ball we had enough quality. Off the ball there wasn't enough movement, and I didn't see enough creativity in the final third. The lack of movement and the options. I think there was really a lack of real tempo and play to take it to the next level. The only time I saw us really try to score is in the second half. By then, the game's already done. I did think as well, our play is extremely always one-sided focus. And, Saka, watching the game again, Saka played better than I thought, but he still didn't have these best of games. But it shows you that players hide behind Saka. Is it any coincidence on the right-hand side, we're attacking more on the right-hand side in the first? Saka's gone to left back, and him and Pepe are doing a lot of good for us in the second half, but it came to no avail. So we're still hiding behind certain figureheads, and we need all players to stand up to be counted and try difficult things. Obviously, it's another game where it's an individual mistake, and based on the last 2 games from Cedric and David Luiz, now it's not good enough, really and truly. Like Arteta said, top teams don't make these mistakes frequently. Like I said, people, both halves, you want to see where we attack stronger down each side in each half. Just look at where Bukayo Saka is. I think we need to go back to the drawing board for our set pieces. Personally, people, I don't think our set pieces are good enough. There's not enough invention. They're barely getting past the first man. It's a myth. And when you're going against Mings and Konza and a team that are good in the air, better than us, it doesn't make sense. It's all about how you start the game. We were the first team to play in the Premier League this week. We're coming off the back of a defeat. We know Aston Villa start well, including this game. Like when we played Southampton last couple of times, they score within the first opening 20-odd minutes against us. So I don't think we learned our lessons. I don't think, considering they beat us 3-0, there was enough urgency from our boys. We started slowly, and that can only be reflected in the mistake that was made. I see a super chat. Big up yourself, Apex. You said, I play FIFA, after Arsenal games. Fair play. Big up yourself for the super chat. Regardless, I didn't think it was a foul from Martinez on Lacazette, but the more I watch it, the more I'm sort of convinced, but I'm not really focused on that. Pepe did have a chance to score, and we did have some others, and we're lucky in the second half. They started off stronger than us, but we're lucky that Barkley and Traore actually can't finish. So Matt Ryan and Gabriel saved us for one of those. I think it was Traore's. I was criticizing our set pieces. The second half, do you lot remember there was a fantastic set piece and it went into the path of Barkley and he miskicked it? He should have absolutely walloped that, and that should have been 2-0. Shout out to Matt Ryan as well. He was one of the positives. In terms of positives, it's not here, but I think Matt Ryan, he's one of the only player I don't think could have been asked to do a lot more. You know, the goal he couldn't do nothing about. There's a deflection. You know, Matt Ryan gave a good account of himself as our second choice keeper. We initially got to see potentially how Smith Rowe could be used with Odegaard. You know, one was central at one point, one was on the flanks, and then one was on the flanks, one was central. Odegaard off the bench obviously didn't score, and you don't get points for shooting over, but I think he looked impressive. There was an incident where he lost the ball on the edge of our area. Saka did that in the game as well, and also somebody else did, to be fair, and it could have presented problems. I think watching the game again, Pepe not excelled, but he did very well defensively, and he looked to be an outlet. Not quite the Pepe that's been there the last couple of games, but he's still there. Spurs and West Brom are about to play, and our Ainsley Maitland-Niles is out there, people. Still on the bad days, everything goes through Saka. So yeah, if we quickly go to the tactical thingy, people, what have I got here? This was the goal. Now, not to scale, but if you lot remember, initially John McGinn is trying to play a ball through. He can see his man Watkins, and I think in the build-up, Gabriel and Holden, just in terms of doing better, because I've seen us do this against Jamie Vardy, against many players. Can we look over our shoulders and be aware of where the man is? And I don't think we was. It's good play from Watkins from out to in, and Watkins was playing very well. You saw him working hard for his team in wide areas. You saw him I'll expand more in a sec, but you saw him get behind the ball well. And he deserved his goal. As an Arsenal fan, I think he's got 3 goals against us. But initially, we started slowly. John McGinn's tried to play that pass in behind for his man. Obviously, Gabriel's read it and he's intercepted it. It's gone to Cedric, and Cedric is sleeping. Cedric is a hospital pass. It's called a hospital pass because it puts man in hospital. You know, Traore, not to scale, but simply put, Traore's latched upon it. It's as simple as that, people. He simply latched upon it. And again, we're still not aware now, people. Gabriel's reactive. I did feel they're not here, but I did feel actually our midfielders probably could have seen the run of Watkins in the build-up. But fundamentally, I think it's Cedric's fault. He sold my man short, as you lot saw with this back pass. Holding could have done a lot better. I feel he's not aware of where Watkins is. He makes a little movement. Obviously, as the ball comes in, you know how the script goes. Watkins eventually finishes. It takes a deflection slightly off Holding. There's nothing Matt Ryan could do. You know, maybe goalkeeping coaches could say the positioning could have been better. I don't think it could have done anything, but that's fundamentally where the goal was. It's as simple as that. And 2 minutes into the game, the mentality has to be there. I personally think it's fundamentally Cedric's fault, because that's a stupid under hit back pass, people. It's as simple as that. And 2 minutes into the game, especially when you're an experienced player and you're in form, you shouldn't be doing that. So fundamentally, that's where the game's lost. Like I said, possession isn't going to correlate to goals unless you're going to work the keeper. So I think whatever we was doing initially to start scoring goals, it's been deserted. We've lost our clinical edge in recent games, so we need to go back to the drawing board. If we move away, people, obviously we're the team in blue. Focusing on the team in red, clearly we have a problem against low blocks or teams that have units or hold the good defensive shape and hold the good defensive units. Now, for me personally, I don't think I'd describe Aston Villa as a low block. I don't think they did that. But what they did do is clearly get 11 men behind that ball, people. And we had no answers for it. You know, Watkins was working well, giving his team support out in wide areas, and obviously that on the counter we looked a bit scary. But you need invention, people. Like you can see, 2 banks of 4, Barkley tucking in, Watkins tucking in, Grealish, you know, tucking in. And to be fair, one positive could be, you know, Grealish was quiet by his own standards. You know, they're tucking in. We had no answers to break them down. Obviously, if the ball goes long, Lacazette ain't going to win it too many times against Mings and Konza, sorry. They're bigger than him. They're better in the air. So that's a myth. So naturally, you need him to occupy that. But you want him to drop slightly, moving the ball out of possession, people. Smith Rowe is going to get into pockets. But again, someone needs to feed it. And really, he's around everyone. You've got our midfield. And again, there's no movement. There's no option. So we need to go back to the drawing board. Our centre halves are on the ball. Our fullbacks are wide. But typically, you're playing backwards passes and 5 yards. Now, I'm not saying lose the ball for the sake of it. But could you skip someone out? For instance, here, it doesn't have to go from Gabriel to, let's say, Partey to get to Cedric. You know, could you skip it out and go straight to Cedric, straight to Pepe, and a bit of movement? So when the team's got a good, well-drilled unit and you're playing backwards passes and it's slow, you're helping them keep their spot. Where if you're moving it quickly, obviously, if Grealish ain't there quick enough and he doesn't get out to Bellerin, you know, he's got to get out when he realizes I'm too late. There's obviously space now that could be exploited. You could see how you could potentially score. Target's got to come out as well. You could see how space could be exploited, and eventually this might lead to an opportunity if it goes into the box and there's movement. For instance, if it's too slow, for instance, it's taking too long to get to Bellerin, he's just going to sit in and tuck in. And they're going to take that, people, because it's just going to go sideways and sideways and sideways. Hector Bellerin was far too narrow for me. When he gets forward, you never get the conviction that he knows where a pass is because they read him. But for me, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to help us when you're just going narrow, way too inside. Whether it's on the ball or off it, he's way too narrow. And I think we need our fullbacks to hug it a bit. Naturally, Cedric, again, on the good best of days, he shows that I'm a right-footed man playing at left back. And he's taking it on his right foot and going backwards. So we're allowing them to hold their shape. I did think it was a game for pace, people, really. Really and truly. So if I don't really want to move everything. I just want to see if I can do this again. Can I? Yeah, please mess that up, please, for me. I want to start again. Yeah, man. Well, it's not letting me start again, people. I thought there was an option to just make this all. Sorry, people. I wanted it to start again, but like, just so it's easier, I'm gonna do it on the other side here. So if we remove Leno and we say this is second half and we swap teams now, yeah. Lacazette's hold-up play is good, and he did do well. He earned a couple fouls, but Mings and Koza, they knew what time it was in that regards. They knew what time it is. They both probably prefer it in the air. The only time Koza looked a bit stressed is when Saka's pulling him into wide areas, and you saw him give a foul away and things like that. You know, with I did think it was a game for pace because their centre halves were kind of high. And as much as Lacazette drops and things and gives you stuff, he don't give you that pace on the counter attack. He doesn't give you that. So again, they backed themselves in a foot race. And when you've got Matty Cash tucking in and you've got Target, you back yourself. So I was looking at it in the first half is like, can we get Aubameyang? You know, can you get Aubameyang in? Because obviously Aubameyang, they can't afford to be high. Obviously Aubameyang can't do the physical thing too tough against them, but they can't afford to get into a foot race. The problem with the catch-22 is, you know, if you are going to hit Aubameyang, and saying we're the red now, like I said, people, we're not blue anymore. If you're going to hit Aubameyang, you know, you need movement. You need people who are going to pass the ball, whether that's Smith Rowe able to hit him. Let's just say these two, like I said, just pretending we're swapping colors at this moment, whether you've got midfielders with the ability to hit him, because what is the strengths, people? You want Aubameyang on the last shoulder. You want him on the last shoulder. You don't want him into feet. And the thing is, when you're playing slow and you've got a team, like I said, that Aston Villa were doing, you know, 2 banks of 4. Again, they're blue for just this example because I didn't want to move everything. You've getting Barkley tucking in there. You've got Watkins tucking in there, and you're not playing to the strength of pace. You can see how they're just going to sit. And then it doesn't matter if you've got Lacazette or Aubameyang because he's having to play on the channels. You've got Smith Rowe trying to get it. Either Smith Rowe drops deep, and again, that's one less body there, or he's there. You know, your fullbacks can get forward as much as they want. They have to have the ability as well. You know, and it can't, and you can see how it kind of factors in. So I did think we needed to get Aubameyang on, but a mixture of not us playing to Aubameyang's strengths and him playing poorly was a case. I do think it's another game as well where the substitutions could be called into perspective because again, I don't disagree with it. I said Saka left back, Aubameyang on. I don't really agree with Martinelli off the bench for Willian. I don't see how I would have. If the only one I would have said, all right, cool, is if he said no to Martinelli in the case of bringing on Ceballos, and I believe that because clearly we're chasing the game. You've got Ceballos. You've got Odegaard. You know what they're trying to do. If you're bringing on Ceballos as well, I can understand it. So it means these players stay deeper up the field. I could understand that. I don't think William was bad off the bench. He actually had more shots than a couple of other people. Something we can't say. But I didn't see what he'd give you ahead of Martinelli. And I think we needed energy and inspiration. And away from Martinelli's intelligence and things, I think one thing you need when you're chasing a game is hope. And I think Martinelli gives you that. He gives you inspiration. He gives you hope. And it can rub off to other guys, people. And like you said, South London, you know, Lacazette, when you get like that, when he's playing too deep, you know, when Lacazette, and it's a natural. Lacazette probably said, you know what, I'm a strong youth, but F that, them and they are on this, innit? Let me drop deep. So naturally, there's no focal point. I'm trying to move all of these out the way. Just focus on the blue ones for me, people. Just so if you don't understand what South London's getting at. You know, obviously, Lacazette, naturally, if you try to do the physical thing, you don't win against the centre-half. You're going to say, F it, all right, cool, let me drop deep. Now, that's good for us. But the centre-halves are going to say, you know what? Let's either get higher up the field or, you know what, Martinez, you don't always have to go long, you know. Where's the ball? You don't always have to go long. Bro, Lacazette's getting tired. He's dropping. Give us it. You know, and with that, if you're a centre half, you would be absolutely bollocking your fullbacks for staying here. You know, you want them higher. We'll get the ball. You know, we'll do our thing. We'll split. You know, John McGinn and them man there. John McGinn, come get the ball. You know, Grealish, don't come inside. Stay out there, bro. We're gonna create 2v1s out there. You know, Barkley, I need you to come show for it though. And you've got Traore lurking. So yeah, you could understand how that was firmly the case, people. So we played into their hands. Moving away from that though, and looking at some statistics courtesy of Opta and Shaqwa and Orbino, their Twitter account. Partey sadly has completed 90 minutes just 4 times in all comps for Arsenal so far this season, which is obviously concerning. Only Pepe with 3 shots had more shots than Willian for Arsenal today, which was yesterday. Arsenal have scored fewer goals than any other teams in the top 12 in the table. So away from us just not being clinical, you can see how goals are crucial. Our expected goals in the last 3 games has been less than 1 each match, which maybe shows you maybe we was outperforming it, and you can never escape it for too long, people. We're conceding cheap goals. We're not being clinical enough. Like I said, second half, again, I don't need to show you lot. You know, in the second half, we had more of a goal. We started getting forward, you know, Saka and Pepe primarily driving it for us, encouraging cameo from Odegaard off the bench, but ultimately it means nothing, people. Saka's had 45 shots so far this season, more than any other player. We do rely on Saka too much, like you could see in the first half with everything on the right hand side, coincidentally everything on the left. Now maybe Saka and Pepe are 2 dangerous players at the moment. That made sense. We faced 8 shots on target face today is the most against Arsenal in the Premier League this season. So again, we was allowing too much. We've lost our last 3 league games against Villa for the first in a row for the first time since 1993. So that's the first time in my lifetime. I don't want to make Aubameyang a talking point, but we might have to accept something's going wrong, to put it nicely. 20 games for Aubameyang so far this season and just 17 shots on target. Whatever way we look at it, we sit 10th, could even drop lower. We have taken 31 points after 23 games this season. We have only managed fewer in 2 previous Premier League campaigns, people. Last season and in 94-95. You know, 95, the year I was born. It's not a good time for Arsenal fans. Aston Villa have taken the lead between the 20th and 27th minute in each of the last 3 Premier League games against us. So like we already knew, we said it earlier, I didn't even know I copied and pasted that stat. We need to start off strong. For me, that's also a lesson we haven't learned in our last couple of games, even against Southampton. You know, we conceded early against Southampton in the league when Theo scored. Then we conceded early in the FA Cup. We haven't learned our lesson really and truly in that regards, people. Our next 5 fixtures, we'll get onto that in a second. But as you can see, it was just a woeful day at the office, simply put, people, really and truly. So yeah, when things can go bad, they go bad, people. It's as simple as that. We just have to go back to the drawing board and learn from what we need to learn from. Yeah, big up everyone. Please make sure you're hitting the like button.